What's up? Welcome to another episode of the Presidential Executive.
What's going on? Yeah, as always, it's your guy, Stringer, Reg, the executive. You know what I'm saying? JB, J Bizzle.
For sure. And just subscribe to the channel as you see fit. If you're joining us, I appreciate y'all. Whoever is joining us, people have been reaching out to us, telling they've been watching and they've enjoyed thus far what's going on. So,
and then also, just to give a plug to your other joint, tell them about the other joints you have that you do.
The Do Music Productions. It's that's the actual name of the channel. It's Do Music, DOMUSIC Productions, and I do just like a word on there, nothing too long. So I do have that. So also go check that out, subscribe to that too. Rag, man, it's been, 2020 has crept up on my Cowboys, man. I do want to just say that real quick. It is America's team, so I guess it's fitting that the the pandemic has officially, caught up to my boys, and it's, it can be depressing,
I feel you.
But God, you say, it's all good, it's just, it sucks, man. I just really wanted to get that out. I really wanted to say that because it's just, we lost our second quarterback. We on our third. I don't even know his name. He's a rookie.
Oh, y'all got
I don't know.
Hold up, let me look this guy's name up.
It's Gucci something. Because I don't even know, but it's something like that. I think he's a sixth rounder. I think we just picked him up this past draft, a sixth rounder. So he was the first throw he did actually was real good. It was real good, but quickly.
Yeah, no, y'all got Shane Falco. That's the character Keanu Reeves played in The Replacements. That's what y'all got.
Hey, that's right. Yeah, I see the picture of him. I can see.
And you know what, though? Y'all would probably do better if y'all had Shane Falco.
Look, man, we would be good if we had you on the other side.
Man, I don't know now.
At this point, because I'm like, we in trouble, man. We in trouble. It ain't looking good.
I'm telling you now. If I was y'all quarterback, and I'm saying, I would have, 76 passing yards. I would have, 242 rushing yards because I'm running every time.
You should.
I'm getting, and then I'm running out of bounds every time. Because I can't get hit by somebody, and I'm not light, I'm 205, but right. I'm just saying, I can't be getting hit by somebody that weighs 260 constantly. I'm running out of bounds every time.
Yeah, plus our old line is beat up too. It's just a complete dumpster fire right now in Dallas, and I just really want to get that out because what they say, you get it off your chest, you feel better about it, you know. So that's where I'm at on that. So, but me and Rag over here, we've had some disagreements too. I don't want anybody to think the first few episodes that we just agree on everything and doing all this. We don't, clearly, and we'll get into that as we continue to go. But one of the things we see eye to eye on, but we kind of still, he there, I'm down here, as far as that is with Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen, to me, at this point, I may say is overrated. You know what I'm saying? For the simple fact of he's great. Don't get me wrong, he's great. But I don't think he would ever have become the player that he is without MJ. And he said that on The Last Dance. If we remember within that, it was because he pushed them to limits and all that stuff.
You got to remember too, MJ said that he pushed him to be better though.
He did, but MJ was MJ before Scottie.
But you got to remember, but it was certain parts of his game and things that changed and elevated as it pertains to his overall development. Now, don't get me wrong, MJ was going to be MJ regardless. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But just that constant, now prior to Scottie getting there, he didn't have anybody who he could go back and forth with.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah. And so, and Scottie even said, like, I came in, like, I wanted to be, this great guy. And so, like, he finally felt like I have somebody who could come back and forth with me.
Mm-hmm.
And this didn't make The Last Dance, but there's other interviews that have happened where they said, like, they couldn't play on the same team in practice. Mm-hmm. Because if they did, nobody, like, it didn't matter what combination of players that you put with them, nobody else could beat them. Mm-hmm. So you had to put them on opposite teams because if they were on the same team, like, it just wasn't fair.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so from that wing position, like, they locked down and shut down everything.
Yeah.
And so my thing is, I don't disagree with you on the point that MJ was going to be MJ, but I feel like and they came from two different backgrounds too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Family
like, yeah. I mean, like, now they both had both of their parents, but Jordan was more, I guess, middle class.
Yep.
Nice neighborhood.
Yep.
Able to provide for everything. Smaller family dynamic. Mm-hmm. Whereas Scottie Pippen was like one of 12. You're struggling.
Right.
You're trying to get out the mud, and so that hunger to be great came from a different place. Whereas Jordan was more, I want acceptance from my father. Scottie was more like, I got to be the one to take care of my family.
Mm-hmm. Which that was proven with the contract he took.
Right.
That he did back in 92.
It was a horrible contract.
It was horrible. But yeah. I understood his point of view as when you, like you said, when you come from that environment, he was like, he just wanted, he wanted to have the guarantee that his family would have kept getting those checks. His mama would have kept, with his father, being
really ill
in a wheelchair
right.
and all this other stuff, and his brother too. I think he said too. But I'm looking at with Scottie, like, I don't think, because he was drafted by Seattle. He was drafted by Seattle in '87, and so they did Olin Polynice or something, and Jerry Krause.
That same night, he never played for Seattle. That same night, he was swapped.
He was swapped to go to Chicago. So I just think Pippen is great. I think he's great. I just think he's overrated as far as, I think, I don't know if you remember, the ESPN came out with the top 75 rankings, like, it was early this spring, like in May or something like that. Mm-hmm. And they had Pippen at 20, I think. Mm-hmm. Number 20 all time. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, that might have been a little too high for me. I think he was...
Okay, so let's factor in. Yeah. Look at the era that he played in.
Okay.
So when he came in, he came in when Bird, Magic, Isaiah, like the Pistons, the Lakers, Celtics, Milwaukee was actually really good at that time. Mm-hmm. Philadelphia was actually really good at that time. Mm-hmm. Houston was really good at that time. Atlanta was really good at that time. Cleveland mm-hmm. was really good at that time. Mm-hmm. So you had the roughest era that he came and played in.
Right.
In terms of talent, in terms of, like, the lack of foul calls, mm-hmm. getting punched in the mat, like, where it was ball, like you played, like you grow up playing at the park, like we playing ball. Like, right. He came up in that era. Mm-hmm. The greats that he played with and the impact that he made. Go back and listen to, I believe it was Game 4, Game 5 of the 98 finals when they played Utah and they were commentating. And Doug Collins said, I have never seen anybody dominate a game while only scoring 4 points. Mm-hmm. Now keep in mind, he got a hurt back. Right. But his defensive presence was felt. Mm-hmm. And so, like, people will say, will say how great Rodman is because of what Rodman was able to do with big men. Mm-hmm. But when you look at Pip was on guard consistently, mm-hmm. on guards, on the wings, on the block. Whereas Rodman was more, he'll get out and, a guard wasn't shaking him. But for the most part, Rodman's impact was felt on the 4 and 5 position. And maybe on the 3 position. Yeah. But now he would guard a guard, but like when you talk about the whole game, mm-hmm. that wasn't him. But you got video to the eye test.
The early Rodman, yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, when you look at in the finals, who guarded Magic? Mm-hmm. Pip. That changed the whole series. Game 1, they had Michael on Magic. Mm-hmm. Lakers win. Mm-hmm. Games 2 through 5, mm-hmm. they put Pippen on Magic. They went from showtime to slow time. Yeah. They made a switch. They put Pippen on Drexler. Changed the whole series. Yeah. In in the Phoenix series, Pippen was doing most of the guarding on Barkley. Now, granted, Barkley had some 30-point games, but you look at the field goal percentage, you look at the difficulty of the shots. He wasn't getting his typical shots. Like, he was working for every shot that he took. It wasn't just like, oh, I'm Barkley, I'm scoring. He made him work. And so the time that it takes you into the shot clock to get your shot off because of who you have on you, to me, that part of his game, that is where he made his biggest impact. As well as he was the maestro of the triangle offense. You see what I'm saying? And so
it was the point.
And again, right. And so when you look at now the way the small forward position is looked at, it's looked at based upon the way Scottie Pippen played it. Any three has to be able to play it the way he played it. You have to be a ball handler. You got to be able to play point guard. You have to be a good defender. You have to be able to knock down the three. And keep in mind, he was knocking down the three, especially in transition, when three-pointers weren't as big as a part of the game as they are now.
Sometimes he really want to jump shoot, though.
No, what I'm saying in transition. Like, they get on the fast break, and he pull up in the fast break.
Yeah.
But, so you're talking about somebody that's like, oh, he only shot, like, between 36 and 38%. But at the time, that was great. Because they weren't being shot a lot. Now, somebody 36, 38%, like, you all right. But at the time, they weren't being shot a lot.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? As well as you're looking at somebody who career averaged almost 7 assists a game, but per the roster, you're not even a point guard. You know, but just leading the team in every statistical category outside of scoring. He's the block leader, but he's not the center or the power forward. He's the rebound leader, or right there, you know, the top two, not when they had Rodman, but just overall his Bulls career. You're the rebound leader, but you're not the 4 to 5. You're the assist leader, but you're not the point guard. You're outside of MJ, you're the steals leader. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you talk about a real Swiss Army knife type of player, and then no shade on Paul George, but like we talk about not showing up in the big game. Even when he wasn't scoring, he showed up in the big game. Like, okay, my offense ain't working. My defense is on point. And just to show you, like, look at when he went to Portland.
Yeah.
Portland was always a problem because of him. Right. And this is old him. This is injury, like, riddled him.
But Paul George was cool. Whatever with that. Paul George is a mess. Like, he done went down in a lot of people's eyes, especially mine, as far as, you know, how he looked this postseason. But do you think Pippen is top 20 though?
Yes.
All time?
Yes.
He is.
Yes.
Sure.
Because when we look at basketball, it's just about scoring.
No.
I mean, no, that's what, like, the players that you rate, the threes that you rate over him. Like, a lot of people will rate Dominique over him, but Dominique was just scoring.
No,
when you think about this now, think about this.
People don't think
when Jordan left and Pippen was the man for the Bulls, he was second in the MVP vote. And when you look at the points per, just if we going again points per game, every one of Hakeem's teammates averaged more points than everybody who Scottie had with the book. Like, you telling me you would take Pete Myers over Vernon Maxwell? No. Nobody in their right mind. You would take John Paxson over Jet and Sam Cassell? No, you would. Or B.J. Armstrong? Yeah. No, you would not. Like, okay, maybe you could say Horace Grant and Otis Thorpe kind of dead out. You certainly would not take Bill Cartwright over Hakeem. So, like, when you look at it, Houston had a better team than the Bulls did. But Hakeem won the MVP. But when you look at who he had, like, you got some players.
Right.
Pete Myers, come on, man. Like, that was what he was working with. But, and again, everybody will say it, a blown Hugh Hollins call, a phantom foul call. Chicago would have ended up going to the East, probably would have won the East and played Houston in the finals. You look at Dominique, outside of scoring, Atlanta didn't win. Atlanta didn't beat Boston. Right. They never beat Boston. They never beat Detroit. They, like, though in the East, they would lose to Boston in the second round. They would lose to Detroit in the second round.
But nobody thinks.
No. A lot of people. You talk to a lot of people. But when they talk about Dominique,
I'm talking about I actually had to look up the list. Like, the people that they got not Dominique, but Pippen ahead of. They said Elgin Baylor was below Pippen. Charles Barkley.
What did he win?
Was below Pippen.
What did he win?
But and also to your point, who your teammates were.
Elgin Baylor?
Well, yeah, but
Elgin Baylor had Hall of Fame teammates in LA.
But he played against 10 others in Boston.
You talking about one team?
Yeah.
Okay, outside of Jordan.
They only had like 8.
Outside of Jordan, what Hall of Fame teammates did Pippen play with?
Other than Jordan, Rodman?
No, Rodman came toward the end. So we talking about
You're talking about pre-90.
From 95 from 87 to 95, his first 8 years in the league.
Right.
Outside of Jordan, what other Hall of Fame teammates did he play with?
He don't need
Because
it.
BJ went to Golden State and Charlotte and was extra regular.
But that's all
Forrest
he needed was
went to
MJ.
Orlando and was extra regular.
That's all he needed was MJ, though. He didn't need anybody else. What I'm saying is, like, Elgin Baylor, they had Charles below Pippen.
Okay, and Charles played with Moses Malone and Dr. J, Andrew Toney,
Doug
Collins.
Moses.
No, he wasn't. No, Moses was young then. Dr. J was older.
When Charles got into his prime. Like, when he first got into the league, 84, Moses was in his prime.
Right.
I'm talking like 87, 88.
No, he wasn't playing with Moses then. Moses was gone then.
86, 87 he was. 86, 87.
Okay, but again, Moses was still legit then. Now, after that, it's sketchy. But Andrew Toney, because it was, and I was watching a video the other day, they were talking about it was a proposed trade. Philadelphia wanted to trade for Michael Jordan, and they were going to offer up Charles Barkley, Andrew Toney, and another center they had. Mm-hmm. And at the time, it looked like, okay, Barkley was an all-star, Andrew Toney was an all-star shooting guard, and then the center was better than who Chicago had. Mm-hmm. But like at the time, Rod Thorne, who was the GM of the Bulls, was like, nah, we ain't going for that. Right. And so they was looking at it like, hey, it works out. We're giving y'all 2 all-stars and a center for 1 all-star or 1 superstar. Mm-hmm. So like Barkley played with some dudes. He goes to Phoenix. Kevin Johnson is an all-star, all-NBA. To me, very underrated. When you look at his numbers and where he was, but he 4-time all-NBA, 5-time all-star, like for 4 or 5 years was averaging like right at 20 and 10 assists. Very underrated point guard.
So you're saying Charles Barkley wasn't a better player?
No,
than
what
Pippen?
I'm saying is if you're ranking him, Charles Barkley stuff goes for you're looking at what he was tasked to do, which is score points and rebounds. He did that. Yeah, Scottie Pippen did what he was supposed to do, but he went above it. No, Barkley wasn't a shot blocker.
I mean, he wasn't a shot blocker, but he
averaged
about like a block and a half. Though.
He wasn't a better defensive player than Pippen.
No.
And so when you look at this is somebody who's got to run the offense as well as normally locking up the best defensive player.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Now, again, and the numbers can be deceptive. It's kind of like, in no shade, like, again, we talked about this off camera. LeBron has went up in my all-time list because of him winning his 4th final. So respect to the king. Like, hey, I'm big enough to say when you do something that's worthy of me acknowledging it, I'll say that. But how we talked about empty calories. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're up 20 when most players would not be in the game because that's when you give the bench mob time to get in and get their stuff. You're still in the game getting rebound. And so, like, your final stat sheet says you got this many assists, you got this many rebounds, you got this many points. It's empty calories. Whereas, like, when you look at a guy like Pip, it's like, I got to lead the team. I got to direct traffic. I got to tell you where you're going to be. I got to score 20-some points. I got to lock up the other player on the best team. You know what I'm saying? I got to be the coach on the floor. I got to rebound. When you talk about the combination of that,
I don't think like, Pip was, he wasn't like it was a triangle. So it wasn't like he was like a de facto point guard. It was a system. So it wasn't like he was like an Isaiah Thomas or a CP3.
Go back and look up stuff that Tex Winter, that Phil Jackson, Doug Collins said about the triangle. They said the triangle worked because of Scottie Pippen. In Chicago, he was the one who made the triangle go.
Yeah, he made it go, but I'm saying that he wasn't like that wasn't like your regular point guard. He played his role, just like MJ played his role. MJ still averaged like 5 or 6 assists. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't just like within that. But when I'm looking at like he's 21 on here, you see he's 21. So Elgin Baylor's below him. They had Charles Barkley, David Robinson. That's what I went through that. But there's really those three I'm talking about. Like I don't think that he was a better player than Barkley, Robinson, or Baylor. But as a totality for your career, I think it's legit to put him up there just off his career.
And again, but this is what I'm saying though too. Though they're also factoring in the impact you have on 6 championships, 2 straight three-peats.
Yeah.
Which Robinson had 2 championships, but by the time he got both his 2, he was washed. He was not a major impact on either one of those championships.
Mm-hmm.
In 99 and 03.
Who are we talking about?
David Robinson.
Okay.
He got 2 titles, but like he's not remembered as being like, oh man, the Admiral made a big impact. Like you think about Tim Duncan.
I mean, the first one for sure, he won MVP on that.
Who?
David Robinson.
No, Tim Duncan won.
Not the first one.
Yes, Tim Duncan. Go look it up.
Let's look this up.
Let's
look this up. David Robinson was the MVP.
The final, no, he was the MVP of the league one year, but he was never the finals MVP. That was Tim Duncan.
Let me see. I'm sure.
Because of their 5 titles, I want to say Tony Parker got 1 finals MVP, Kawhi got 1 finals MVP, and either Duncan has 3 of them, and it might have been Ginobili. I don't think Ginobili got 1, but it was.
I know
Duncan has 3.
Tony Parker got 1.
Tony Parker got 1, and Kawhi got 1. Kawhi got it when they beat Miami. Tony Parker got 1 when they beat. Not when they beat Detroit. When they beat Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Parker got it when they beat Cleveland.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So David Robinson did not win a finals MVP. But he was vital in that first one, though. Like the 03, I think he won one at 03. But he wasn't, like you said, I think he was on that, that downward thing.
Done.
Yeah. But the 99, or 98, 99, when did he win that one? 99. The 91, that was a lockout year. Right. And, but he was vital within that. So, I mean,
go look up his numbers, what he did.
He was vital with, no, I'm looking at the eye test.
I'm looking at the eye test. That's why I said he didn't do anything. I'm looking at the eye test.
LeBron, just like you said, that's the thing with LeBron. That was like, you can look at the numbers of him all day. I'm looking at the eye test between him and MJ. Like, the eye test tells me way different than what the numbers do. Like, Robinson, I'm going to look up his numbers, but Robinson was legit in that first title in 99. He was legit.
It was no question.
I don't know what his numbers is.
It was no question that Tim Duncan was the reason why they won that championship in 99.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't even a debate or a discussion because you're looking like he is clearly like head and shoulders playing above better than everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I just said that to say, like, again, and I will go back to, we're talking about the eye test, go back and listen to the clip of Doug Collins was, I forget who else was analyzing the game, commentating the game. But he said, I've never seen anybody dominate a game. Not play well, not have an impact, dominate a game while only scoring 4 points.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, you look at some of these other guys that are, like, great Hall of Fame players. If their offense isn't working, they're not playing any defense.
Right.
If their defense isn't working, their offense is so horrendously bad that it's costing the team on the other end.
Yeah.
Or they're not doing anything. Like, they're just not showing up. They're just on the court. With a bad back, he's still dominating the game, only scoring 4 points. And he's everywhere. Deflections, steals, critical rebounds.
Mm-hmm.
I just, now again, am I going to say Scott is top 5? No. In terms of overall, now in terms of if I was picking a team, like, yeah, because you can stick him anywhere. 3 positions. But in terms of, I'm not so asinine as to say I would put him, if I'm ranking my top 5, that I got Scotty in my top 5. That's just a personal, as a Bulls fan, that is a
top
personal
5 small
thing.
fours.
Oh yeah, definitely. Without question.
Definitely.
Without question. But I think that a lot of times we equate these scoring numbers, and so that makes somebody better just because they take more shots. And so when you look at his efficiency as well, you know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't have to take a whole lot of shots to get his 20 points. Mm-hmm. He wasn't a volume shooter to get his 20 points.
Yeah, I think it was he
didn't shoot
47-ish, 48%.
Right. That's what I'm saying. He didn't shoot a bad percentage at the free throw line, but he's not somebody who was at the free throw line 8-9 times a game either. You know what I'm saying? So he scored a majority on his points within the flow of the offense. It wasn't forced. It wasn't a lot of one-on-one dribble, get my shot. He got him in transition. He got him within the flow of the offense. So when you look at it from that aspect, like this is somebody, you don't have to give him a lot of ISOs.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like he'll cut, miss shot, rebound, put back. We lower the shot clock. You swing it. He's open, shot. That and then on the fast break, that's how he getting his points. So you got a low maintenance score because he complained one time about getting a shot. And that was in that playoffs versus New York. And his only issue with that was you don't even give me the consideration. I've carried this team on my back the entire year. You don't even give me the consideration to say, Scotty, what do you want to do? What you think? Because I'm the man. Like it's clear that I'm the man on the team. Only at the time, only he and Jerry West had led their team in every major statistical category in a year. At the time, Scottie Pippen and Jerry West. That first year that MJ was out, and he doesn't even get the consideration of what you think.
Think about what?
You had a one possession game. You know what I'm saying? Like he doesn't get the consideration. Like whereas if anything, they would have asked MJ like, "What you think?"
Yeah, but he's not that. He's not on that level. So I think, just like to my point was, it was a system thing. That's why there was like
Check this out.
Cool coach, you set this up.
Michael Jordan's first game back, when he came back, Chicago Bulls played the Indiana Pacers. I know because I watched that game and I remember. I remember it came on the NBA on NBC when it used to come on. Yeah. And I got my dad to allow us to go to church at 8:00 so I could get back and watch the game because it was a noon game. Yeah. And I knew if we went to the 11:30 service, I wasn't gonna get to watch it. So we go to 8:00. I come back watching the game. The game goes to overtime. Who was it that made the 3-pointer, the go-ahead 3-pointer to send the game in overtime? Bulls down 3. Scottie Pippen makes a 3-pointer to send the Bulls into their overtime. Okay. So to say he's not clutch, because if you miss, you lose the game.
It's a regular season game.
No, dude, I'm saying you're still. You can go back and look at times where he made a clutch defensive play. The one he was in there when they made the one on Charles Smith with Jordan and Horace Grant. Pippen was in there. Yeah. It was another one in the playoffs where they played New York, where Hubert Davis was wide open. Scottie Pippen spins off his guy, blocks his shot. Right. Charles Smith grabs it, tries to attempt a shot, and Scottie blocks it. There's 2 blocks within the last 2 seconds of the game.
Those are plays, though.
Dude, that's clutch.
Right, that's clutch. And he could have been clutch, taking that ball out, throwing that jump to Tony Kukoc.
Man, they needed a 2-point basket.
That would have been it. Kukoc was a better shooter than Pip.
I'll give you that.
So my thing was, the dude was wrong for not even saying in the game, because he's not Jordan. He's not Jordan. So to be like, Pip, you the de facto, I want you to take this last shot. He's not. He's not that type of player.
You can go back and look
he's
at
not
the
that type of player
that he has made plays that altered or changed the game.
Plays, not a shot. Not plays, not a shot.
Game 6
could have been a clutch.
Game 6 of the '92 finals when the Bulls were playing Portland, and Portland was up 17. They take Jordan out the game because it's like, oh well, this game is a wash. It's Scottie Pippen, freaking Cliff Levingston, Craig Hodges, Jensen, and like Scott Williams. And Scottie Pippen scored on at least, they go on like a 12-1 run where Scottie Pippen scored or assisted on every basket that they had. And so now they're down like 5. And they put Jordan back in it, and the rest is history. But they weren't doing any, like, so again, to say he can't do it or he wasn't that, pressure make diamonds. When he had to be a diamond, he was.
I'm just saying that's not his role.
In most cases, no. But what I'm saying is that season, he had proved his mettle that season. But people will look at it and say, oh, he only averaged 22.7 points a game. Yeah, but he was also guarding the other team's best player every night. Now, Jordan wasn't always guarding any scrubs, but when you got a Scotty, if you're you're guarding, if all you got to do is shut down this one guy, and it may not necessarily be the best player, maybe the second best. Mm-hmm. Or if you're on the best, Scotty's switching on the 2 or 3 other guys who's making a difference and keeping them out of the game. Mm-hmm. So you can shine. And then Jordan was more of a passing lane guy anyway. Mm-hmm. He was a genius at playing the passing lane. So again, when you got a Pippen disrupting how the ball is moved around, if he's on the point guard, Jordan can kind of cheat in those passing lanes and watch some of those steal highlights. Most of MJ's steal highlights is him playing the passing lane. Mm-hmm. And he was a genius at it. He was an artist at it. Nobody better, in my opinion, in playing the passing lane than MJ.
Right.
But on ball, one-on-one, and so again, when you rate that, David Robinson, a lot of times we look at a shot blocker as an elite defender. Mm. Dikembe Mutombo, I would say, is a phenomenal shot blocker. Not necessarily an elite defender. Mm. Look at what LA did to Philly in the finals. Dikembe was Defensive Player of the Year, but that was off the strength of his blocks. As opposed to a Ben Wallace, who, yeah, he averaged a lot of blocks, but you made Shaq shoot his lowest percentage in the finals. His was more defense as opposed to just him being a great shot blocker. Mm-hmm. But you look at a guy like a Dikembe, oh, he's a great defender. No, he's a great shot blocker, but not necessarily a defensive player. You look at a guy like Pippen, and you're just talking about didn't do a lot of hand checking. Like, now, I mean, body up, but no, I mean, he would body up, but I'm just saying,
definitely
like that, he was body up. Right, I'm just saying within the rules, he wasn't extra within the rules. So you talk about on ball, and even Kobe said it. Kobe, like, they asked him one year about like guys preparing the draft, and he said, if you want to know what to be, he said defense will always get you on the team. He said if you want to watch a great defensive player, he said y'all need to be looking up videos of Scottie Pippen. So if you want to learn how to be a great defensive player, you need to watch Scottie Pippen.
Yeah. I mean, Pippen is
Kobe
great.
said, like, I watched Scottie Pippen. Like, he said when he would talk to guys, like he would talk to MJ about his fadeaway and his training and all that. But when he talked about defense, he said he talked to Scottie. Mm-hmm. Like, that was who. So when you look at the Mamba, when he was at the prime of his defensive, time, he got his stuff from Scottie. So when you look at it from that aspect, the perfect combination of being because it ain't no better number 2. It ain't no better Robin. Or to me, and I don't even say Robin, like, what's the movie, Batman vs. Superman? Mm-hmm. I would say, if it was ever a Superman and a Batman together on the one team, that's Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan.
Yeah, I agree. I just don't think I think he's overrated in a sense because I don't think he could ever do something by himself if he was, and still be as great as he was. Like, even that year that he had without MJ, I don't think he learned a lot from MJ how to handle that mantle and how to keep going and doing all that stuff. So I just think Pippen.
Okay, so you got to keep this in mind. MJ was always a scorer. Pippen was always a point guard.
Point forward, yeah.
No, in college, when he went in, he was 6'1". Yeah. He was a point guard. He grew 7 inches.
Right.
So again, now you tell me, in today's NBA, you can get a point guard that's going to lock down. And again, keep in mind now, you got to look at the era he's in too. Mm-hmm. Put him in today's NBA. What point guard do you know that's going to give you 20-some a game, lock down the other team's best player, facilitate, rebound, block shots, high efficiency? Who is that point guard?
I mean, but he's a point forward though. That's way different.
Because of his height.
I mean, if that's the case, Larry Bird is a point guard.
No.
He averaged
Bird never brought the ball on the floor.
He did sometimes.
No, not consistently.
It don't matter.
You talking about when they bring from out of bounds?
He initiated their offense. He was constantly averaging 6-7 assists per game. So Pippen, he wasn't a point guard. He was a point forward that ran the system to the T.
And again, but who were a lot of Bird's assists to, and where did they come?
McHale
and Parrish.
Ainge.
No,
Parrish.
he was doing a lot of his assists came from he's in the post or at the elbow. Somebody's closing out, and he's dumping down to McHale, who shot a ridiculous field goal percentage around the basket. He's dumping down to Parrish for the easy dunk. That was about 4 of his assists a game to them. And so on the other ones, you're talking about swing, but I'm saying, no, go back and watch.
I've watched. Bird was everywhere. Bird was doing no looks.
You don't even have to watch the games. Go look at the highlights.
Bird was doing some of everything.
And I will say that he was a better player than Scottie Pippen.
Yeah, what I'm saying to your point,
but
as far
he was not more of a
he
point. He wasn't more of a point than Pip was.
Yeah, he kind of was. He kind of was because
Dennis Johnson was their point guard, dude.
He was their point, just like B.J. Armstrong.
No, he was not.
Was Chicago's point
based
guard
on position.
Exactly.
No, Dennis Johnson was actually the point guard. Dennis Johnson was the one who brought the ball up the court. He was the one who orchestrated the offense. No, most
BJ
of the time.
would bring the ball up the court.
Man, so
Pippen didn't bring up the ball up the court every time.
Most of the time he did.
Not all the time, just like Bird.
8 out of 10 times Pippen was bringing the ball up the court.
8 out of 10.
8 out of 10.
Okay.
You know what? I'll be nice. 7 out of 10.
No.
But you talking about Bird 3 out of 10 and saying he brought it up most. No, that's 30% of the time.
For me, I don't care if you bring it up. It's about once you get to your half of the court, are you facilitating?
Even in that capacity, when Pippen didn't bring the ball up the court, once it crossed half court, who was getting the ball at the top of the key? Pippen was. It'd be times with Boston where the ball comes across court and Bird was on the ends.
No, you ain't gonna tell me Pippen was more of a point. Like, that's what Bird did. That's why the whole Magic and Bird thing, because they pretty much had the same game.
No, Magic was actually a point guard. Magic actually brought the ball up, and that was why he pushed to get Norm Nixon off the team. Mm-hmm. Because Norm Nixon was also a point guard, and Magic was like, ain't no 2 point guards. Yeah. I ain't no 2 point guards. It's either me or him, and so they got rid of Norm Nixon.
Pippen was a point forward.
Dude, I'm telling you, but the reason why they changed the way the small forward was looked at now to this day, and he's been retired 20 years, they changed it because of him. So we talk a lot about impact and legacy and everything like that.
You ever heard of Marquise Johnson? He was the dude that changed the game with point forward. He played in the 70s and 80s. This is one MJ was talking about in The Last Dance. He was the original point forward. He played for Milwaukee. He played for Milwaukee. Now Pippen, because the league was at a different height at that time, everything was more massive and stuff like that. But Marquise was actually the first guy. Like, Pippen just took it to another level.
In that case, you could say Elgin was.
Elgin was
a 3. I'm just saying. But when you talk about somebody that does it over a 15-year career,
I guess I'm talking about heights too. You talking about like that model type. I think Elgin like 6'5".
No, Elgin was 6'9".
What?
Look it up,
my dude. We gonna look this up.
No, Elgin Baylor ain't no Elgin. He talking 6'5".
50 on it. He put 50 on it.
He talking 6'5". He talking 6'5".
6'5", dog.
Trust me, he taller than 6'5".
No, he's 6'5", dog.
He taller than 6'5".
Okay, maybe 6'4". Okay. You see it? Because maybe I'm too slow. Elgin's 6'5", dog.
Man, that's whack. They got him listed at 6'5". That man was taller than 6'5".
Elgin's 6'5", dog.
That man taller than 6'5".
Elgin's 6'5".
I stood next to Elgin Baylor once in my dreams. He was taller than 6'5".
What I'm saying, so it was, I think we're like you said, we're on the same page with Pip. It's just,
I just don't think he's overrated. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that, you know what I'm saying, that he's better than what he was. I just don't think he's overrated. Mm-hmm. Just like I don't agree with how people say Jordan would have never won the title without Pippen, or he wasn't nothing until Pippen came. Like, people forget. It's like, oh, Jordan's first 3 years in the playoffs. Okay, Jordan only played 3 years without Scottie Pippen. So, like, his first 3 years, and no, you can't name any other player he played with. Mm. By the time he did play with George Gervin, who was washed by that time. Like, San Antonio really just was trying to get rid of his contract and him. Mm-hmm. He didn't really have an impact in Chicago. So, and Jordan used to joke all the time, oh, you had this team, man, I had Dave Corzine. Nobody knows who Dave Corzine is. Okay. And that's why. Now, so, 3 years. In one of those years, he's coming off a broken foot. Mm-hmm. So, like, but then the year Pippen came, they make it to the second round. 87, 88, they make it to the second round. Mm-hmm. So it's like one player who's only averaging at the time probably about 15 minutes a game.
Yeah.
Y'all go up when you get a competent teammate. Y'all go up another round, and then the next year, the next 3 years, you're pushing Detroit 7 games, 6-7 games, and then you're at the top of the mountain. So when people say, "Oh, well, this person only did it this minute," okay, but your rookie year, you didn't make the playoffs. Regardless of the way the league was structured and set up, he was in the playoffs every year. You didn't make the playoffs your first 2 or 3 years in the league.
We're going to end with this. Who are your top 5 small forwards?
LeBron, Dr. J. I don't really know where to put. If we're saying Bird was a 3, sometimes he's considered a 4, but I'll throw Bird in there.
So you got LeBron, Dr. J, Bird,
Kevin Durant, Scottie Pippen.
Okay.
Then I got Dominique as a 6.
Yeah,
because Dominique, because all of those other people I named have won championships. Yeah. Dominique has none, so you can't even qualify.
This is mine. I would say, obviously LeBron. Bird is my number 2. 3, I would say Dr. J. I give Dr. J. 4, my thing. I would probably say KD. I'll probably say KD. That's definitely fair. And then I'll put Pip.
Yeah, and I didn't necessarily get mine in here, but see, we got the same 5.
Yeah. Now my wild card would be Paul P.
Over Dominique?
Yes. Paul P.